Okay, we all think about getting older, right? But what if? What if you could actually turn back the clock on your brain?
I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, but scientists may have just found a real way to do it.
And the key, believe it or not, is a single protein. Now, its full name is a mouthful. Cyclin D-binding mob-like transcription factor 1. Yeah, we're just going to call it DMTF1. And this little molecule, it might just hold the secret to waking up our brain's own repair crew.
So, where did this all come from? Well, this incredible breakthrough comes from a team of researchers over at the National University of Singapore. They've pinpointed DMTF1 as this, master key for getting our brain's stem cells working again. It's a huge deal. Okay, so to really get why this is such a game changer, we kind of have to back up a bit. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside our brains when we age. All right, picture this. Deep inside your brain, you've got these amazing things called neural stem cells, or NSCs for short. Think of them as the brain's personal construction crew. They're on call 24/7, ready to build new neurons whenever you need them, for learning, for memory, for keeping you sharp. But as the years go by, that construction crew, well, it starts to get a little lazy. The cells become dormant. They basically punch their time card for the last time and go into retirement. And when they stop working, the brain just can't repair itself like it used to. And that is a huge reason why we see cognitive decline as we get older.
So what's forcing them into retirement? Well, a big piece of the puzzle has to do with something called telomeres. You know the little plastic tips on your shoelaces? Telomeres are kind of like that, but for your DNA. They're these little protective caps that act like tiny clocks, keeping track of how old a cell is.
Here's the thing. Every single time a cell makes a copy of itself, those telomere shoelace tips get a little bit shorter, and shorter, and shorter. Eventually, they get so worn down and frayed that they can't protect the DNA anymore. That sends up a big red flag, basically telling the cell, hey, stop, it's too risky to divide again. And boom, that's what sends our neural stem cells into retirement.
Okay, and this is where our hero protein, DMTF1, comes back into the picture. The researchers found it acts like a molecular switch. It can literally flip those retired cells from off back to on. So how in the world does it do that?
Well, the first clue for the scientists was pretty simple, but really powerful. They noticed that younger, healthier brains are just swimming in DMTF1. But in older brains, where the stem cells have gone quiet, the levels of this protein just plummet. So that led them to this big what-if moment. What if they just added more DMTF1 back into those old cells? And you're not going to believe it, but it worked. The cells woke up, they started dividing again. But here's the craziest part. The DMTF1 didn't even bother fixing the frayed telomeres. Nope, it found a clever workaround, a back door to get the job done. So here's how this little hack works. You boost the DMTF1. That protein then goes and wakes up two helper genes called ARID2 and SS18. Think of these helpers as a pit crew that comes in and unlocks the DNA, making it readable again. And once that happens, the whole factory for making new neurons just fires right back up. It's an amazing chain reaction. Okay, let's just pause for a second and think about this. A single protein that can tell the brain's own stem cells to get back to work? The possibilities here are just massive. So what could this actually mean for all of us? I mean, if we can figure out how to do this safely in people, it could totally change the game for so many conditions. We're talking about new ways to tackle age-related cognitive decline, memory problems, maybe even devastating diseases like Alzheimer's. And the key word here is rejuvenation, not just slowing things down, but actually helping the brain rebuild. One of the lead scientists, Dr. Liang Yajing, said it perfectly. Their findings really show that DMTF1 could be the key to multiplying our neural stem cells as we get older. It's like they've given us a whole new blueprint for understanding how to fix the aging brain.
But all right, we have to pump the brakes just a little bit. As exciting as all this is, and it is exciting, we've got to be realistic. This is still very early stuff. There's a long, long road from a discovery in a lab to a treatment you can get from your doctor.
So let's just lay it out, promise versus reality. The promise? Reversing brain aging. That's huge. The reality for right now? These amazing results have only been seen in lab dishes and in mouse models. Getting this to work for you and me, that's going to take a lot more time and a ton of research to make sure it's safe and effective. And the scientists know this. They've got a clear to-do list of hurdles they need to jump. First, they need to show this works in animals that have aged naturally. Then, and this is a big one, they have to be 100% sure that telling cells to grow doesn't accidentally trigger something like cancer.
And finally, the holy grail is finding a safe drug that can flip this DMTF1 switch in our own brains.
But even with all those challenges, let's circle back to that big, mind-blowing idea. Just for a second, imagine a future where we can do this. If we can truly and safely rejuvenate the brain's own building blocks, what does that even mean for how we think about getting old? It could change everything.
If you want to stay on top of breakthroughs just like this one, make sure you follow TrendPulse. We're all about more than what's trending.